All right, should be up. Is this actually working this time? All right, check to make sure that this is properly working. Chad, I see that you and Hugh Rocco were here before everybody. Okay, making sure this is actually working. I don't see anything in chat yet. How's this look on everybody's end out there? Okay, so YouTube's working this time. That makes me feel better about life. John Hands, I see that you're on Facebook, so that's working. This is the first time I've done this where I'm streaming to both platforms at once, so I'm just hoping that that this is working. Cool. All right. That was easy. So I'm just right now going through the Paisley print, another one of my marketplace presets. So I'm just messing around. What do we want to do today? Everyone's looking forward to Jess's jokes. You hear that? Cool. All right, so Helix people, we're going to make a preset totally from scratch. What do we want? What are we feeling? What do we want to get here? Okay, Greg, you're saying I'm on both. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, I'm blanking my preset now so that I'm not on anything. So now theoretically, you see the empty HX edit screen, chat window, something really sustainy. Mark, that's my Paisley print. That was already done. I would hope that one sounds good, but thank you. Yeah, that's the Paisley print that's up on the marketplace. Santana type tone. With my Telly on Telly Tuesday. So yeah, what is Santana type use? Freebird. No Freebird. All right, so let's just go. Santana, what is that going to be? One of the Cali amps? Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Regina, thank you. Thanks, Ma. Get out the Variax. I don't have a Variax plan for live streaming just yet. I'll be working on that one, though. So that's all the requests that we got here. We're looking for some type of Santana tone. I don't listen to a ton of Santana. So I got a couple of requests last time before we jumped into the Marshall for one of the Voxes. What do you think, Vox or Matchless? Might be cool. This is with literally nothing on. How is it with the string noise versus my voice? Because I kind of last time that was bugging people, so I brought the mic all the way up here. All right, so let's just start going. Yeah, let's do the. I don't use the Essex A30 a lot. I mostly use the Matchless stuff, so that would be a good one to do. So I'm first going to go right to the double cabs instead of doing a single cab or using an IR. This is what I normally like to do to get my presets going. I'm just turning this off because it's hissing on me. So when you go to your cab here, you just tab this here to dual. And now you have the same exact amp selection, the cabinet selections, but you can now do 2 of them. So for this, I'm going to use the same cabinet. Am I going to use the same cabinet twice? Sure. Let's use the Blue Bell. And now this is my 2 amps now. For those that didn't know this, a couple of people hadn't seen this before when I was doing the last one. So you have your 2 cabinets here that I'm toggling back and forth between. And I'm going to change this lead 80 also to a Blue Bell. So the benefit of doing the dual cabs with the same cabinet is essentially I'm putting 2 microphones on one single cabinet. That's how I think of it. So it's technically not dual cabs. It's really just dual mics on a single cab. And I took my amp away. We're doing SX830. Okay, so without any tweaks to anything, just doing this up. So I feel like this is one of the ones that doesn't sound very good out of the box. I'm not a big fan of that at all, but we're going to definitely do something about that. So let's start with the cab. Honestly, I do this first because this kind of has a huge effect on the tone. I'm also going to drop an EQ here. I don't know if you guys missed the last time. When you use dual cabs, if you're new to dual cabs, when you are using them, they're panned hard left and right. So if I play and you're listening in stereo, you're only going to hear one ear. So putting these before an EQ block, for an example, will sum it back to mono for you. And just keep a low and high cut. Okay, so let's go back to this. Now I'm going to set up my cabs first. So I tend to think of this just like I was in like a real studio. So the first thing you would do before anything, you drop your amp on the floor and then you would go over to your cabinets, mic them up, and then you'd start getting your sound. So let's just go with some classic combination here. 57 right on top of it. Hello, everybody. Tom Petty type of Vox. Yeah, I'm sure we're going to cross that at some point when dialing this in. So this first mic, I'm going to put a 57 right on top of it. These you're going to be real careful with the high end. The Vox amps, especially with a Tele. If you haven't seen, this is my my iconic vintage modern. It's going to be pretty bright. Yeah, Nikki, you're going to hear the strings no matter what. There's nothing I can't get this without hearing some. Just hopefully it's better than last time. So now that I put this here, you should hear that now it's all mono again. So the guitar signal at least is totally summed to mono. So now for the other speaker, right? Our first microphone's a 57, 1 inch off, and I brought the high cut down. I brought it all the way down to 4K. I'm anticipating needing some high cut on this. And now this one, I usually use the 4038, but I kind of feel like doing stuff I haven't been doing. So 121 ribbon. Yeah, we could definitely do some power cab stuff next time. And for this, I like to think of the 121. So this is going to be like my size. Like the other one, I break this into 2 things with the microphones. The 57, I consider like straight up the middle. Like I'm a big Tim Pierce fan. I watch all his stuff. So the way he describes it is as the 57's like your mid-range fist up the middle. And then the 121 ribbon mic is kind of like the pillowy stuff around it. So I'm going to add some early reflections, probably bring up the high cut so it's not there. I'm going to back this off. Again, I don't know how this is going to sound. I'm totally winging this. So yeah, that's not bad for without touching the amp settings yet. How's that sound out there in YouTube land? I'm gonna have to definitely pull my tone down a little bit on the guitar. But yeah, so let's get into some amp settings. I'm gonna want a little less gain. Usually one of my first moves is to drop the drive down. And yeah, let's... So I don't quite want it totally breaking up yet. If you guys followed last week's video, needs oomph. Of course it does. We're just getting started. The oomph will be there. So I'm going to keep this drive a little bit low to where it's kind of starting to break up. And then definitely going to give it some low end. I'm going to leave the cut where it's at and drop the treble a little bit. Okay, so we're getting a little bit closer. I'm going to switch to the middle, coil split neck, and the bridge humbucker. Okay, that's not bad. Maybe a little bit more of that. Just going to give myself a little bit more volume since I dropped the gain a little bit. Let me know what you guys use your channel volume for. I'm curious to see other people's opinions on this because I feel like channel volume is a very subjective thing as far as Helix goes. And what I always use it for and what I think it was intended for is to just be your volume across presets. So I use this usually for my matching, my level matching among my other presets. I don't know. Is that what you guys do? I feel like that makes the most sense. It seems to have the least effect on tone. Like your master volume affects the power section stuff. That's right, Mark. It might be, Spo. I don't... It doesn't affect the gain, though. Usually if it would be pre-gain, then it's almost like you would drop your volume knob on your guitar. I don't think that that's the case. But I always use it across everything to balance my presets. And yeah, snapshots I see Andreas just added. So let's take away a little bit of sag. I don't like the Vox amps to sag. Okay, that seems pretty okay for a start. And usually I bring the bias up just to get the tubes sounding a little hotter. Let's let's mess with that. I'm gonna do a pedal edit mode. So I'm gonna go onto the floor here. And I'm gonna page over to my bias. So right now I'm gonna control the bias with my foot. So if you're following on the screen, look at the bias level. You'll see that that shifting around. There's another thing that it's a little bit hard to understand exactly what it does, but it's weird. It messes with the feel. So let's just hear. This is with it off. So it's almost like when the bias is all the way off, it's like, I feel like it's cold. Like, I mean, I know when you're talking about bias, it is cold and hot bias, but that really is kind of how it sounds. Like, doesn't that sound kind of cold? And that's a little too warm. So I think there's a happy medium somewhere in here. I'm going to try to get it with the volume pedal. I seem to like it best there. I'm going to exit. All right, so I think that's an okay bass tone. Start hitting me with stuff you wanna add to this, because I'm gonna start doing some things on my own. So I want to see what you guys have for me. I want to see what you're challenging me with, or what you guys do suggestion wise. I think this is kind of a decently well-rounded sound that could do things. I'm going to change this from a high cut. I'm going to keep life easy. Let's go with the graphic. So now I'm going to put this EQ post cab. So I have my flat sounds. If I'm considering that my bass, I'm going to want to give it some love in some areas. Again, I'm doing things on the fly here like that I've never even done before. I don't think I've ever even used the 10 band before. So let's see what happens. Frequencies are a little bit different than the other. Let's see what happens. So there's that boxy frequency, this 250 hertz band. Show you guys. Yeah, there's a Leslie effect. I could definitely do that, because that's definitely something I've been messing with more. So yeah, Richard Jones, I see you asking for that. I could definitely throw a Leslie in here. So I'm going to go back to pedal edit mode on my floor unit. And let's mess with that 250 hertz band. So again, if you're new, if you just signed on, look at my 250 hertz band, and you'll see that I'm sweeping it. I'm doing that in pedal edit mode, hands-free, with my expression pedal on the Helix floor. So let's find where we want this to live. That seems nice to me. Let's go to 125. So 125 is going to be a little bit more of an important low end. Yeah, you hear how without the 125, it's like, it almost sounds like a small radio. So I would consider this one to be more of like the low end, where the low end should be on an amp. I kind of like that boosted a little bit. I'm going to page over to, let's do 2K. So 2K is a guitar friendly frequency. Let's see what it sounds like totally ducked out. So that's a good frequency to boost if you're having a hard time hearing yourself in a band context and you want to cut through the mix a little bit more. Well, I guess because it's considered the 10 band, we are gonna we're still gonna add another EQ in front of this. I'm gonna show you guys that same Cali graphic trick that I used in front of the amp last time. Mark, these are Bayer Dynamic DT770s. I think if it uploaded how I wanted it to, there should be a description, a link to them in the description. But yeah, as far as bass tone, I think that this is a good starting point. Kind of half clean. Let's hear a bridge pickup here with volume on. Cool. I am definitely okay with that to start. Just gonna hit the tuner for a sec. Okay, bass tone. Not bad. So let's do that Cali graphic thing. That was kind of fun last time. So if you're new to any of my videos as far as dialing in a Helix goes, Richard Jones, these are 32 ohms, and that's only because it's what they had, to be honest. It really didn't, I don't know, didn't make a difference to me, I don't think, or at least I don't hear a difference, but these are 32 ohm. So I don't use an overdrive pedal per se in this context. This is kind of a new thing I've been experimenting with. I really like the way it came out on the last video using the Marshall. The Calligraphic EQ is like super, super powerful, using it into the front end of an amp. So I've been watching Tom Bukovac. Anybody been watching Tom Bukovac on his channel with all his lessons and stuff? Guy's an absolute genius, but he talks all the time about his Boss GE7 EQ pedal being like the best overdrive pedal that you can get. So I was like, all right, I could do that in the Helix because it's pretty much the same exact pedal. I have a real one too, but using this in the Helix is actually pretty cool. So I've been really spending a lot of time messing around with this, and because this sound is kind of almost broken up, I can drive it a little harder with this, even say just 4 dB. So it adds a little bit more gain, but it's not coming from the amp. I like to hit the front end of the amp harder as opposed to bringing up the drive on the amp. I feel like it remains a little bit more dynamic this way. So we already cut, what did we cut? 250 before? Yeah, we cut some 250, so I'm going to leave that one alone. And now, if you remember from last time, this 750, this is like your Tube Screamer, Klon, Minotaur, whatever you want to call it, frequency. So if I gas this, kind of gives it a little bit of a Tube Screamer vibe, but you can have a little bit more flexibility over it. And you don't have to be shy about cranking these either. I'm certainly not. And I brought the high cut down, I think, a little bit too low on here, so I'm going to bring some back. So I guess I can consider that like my rounded bass tone. And from here I can go a number of different ways. Totally dry with no effects. Can't hide mistakes behind anything. So I saw we wanted a Leslie, right? I was curious about this. I wanted to ask some of the Line 6 guys too. The Leslie simulator, is it simulating a Leslie pedal or is it simulating a Leslie cabinet? Because a Leslie's a rotating speaker. It's in here, but I like the new one better. Where is it? I'm trying to think. I was messing with one the other day that I actually really liked. Maybe it's in my legacy. No, it was definitely in here. Ah, okay, that's why. There you go. How's that for a trick? So that's what I was remembering now. If you're in your mono modulation effects, you don't have everything. When I switch this to stereo, it opens up a few more options. So now, I guess because of the Leslie speaker that's going to be panning left and right, these are in a separate thing. So the Vibe Rotary, I thought was a really cool effect. I'm going to try this in front of the amp because if you had a real Vox, you wouldn't be putting this after it. Everything would be going into the front of it. All right, so I'm going to bring the fast speed, bring the slow speed down. The ramp time, I guess the ramp time is from when you switch from fast to slow. So if I assign this to a foot switch, right? If I assign this to be something on the Helix, I also want the foot switch next to it to be the speed. So right here you have your slow and your fast speed. Here's what they sound like. Back to fast. To slow. I used to use that one all the time, Nikki. I recently just was messing with this one and I thought it was pretty cool. So I'm going to right click on the slow fast and I'm going to assign it to a foot switch. Which foot switch do I want this? That was 7. Let's do 10. Okay, so now my foot switch is controlling the speed. I'm going to bypass this with this. I don't like the extra drive. And I'm going to bring the blend a little bit more to the woofer to give it a little bit of a fatter sound. And now I think I want to give this a little bit more treble again. I might have made it a little too dark, but that's okay. We can fix it. Pick a key, any key. I didn't know 292 was out. What's in? Is anything added or is it bug fix? So on the topic of this, let's do that, Nikki. Let's go to the rotary horn because that's what I used to use from the legacy effects. Yeah, key C19 with the added F sharp, I think. So rotary drum horn, right? That's the one I used to use. Definitely organ-like. So I'm going to control this with foot switch 11 so we can mess with both of these. See what I like about the other one better? Yes, Bo, that's what I was saying. I was thinking about the same thing. If this replaced the cabinet, is that a thing? Should that be a thing? I have no idea, but seems like it would make sense to. But yeah, the reason I don't prefer this, and especially now going back and forth, I feel like this is a little too perfect sounding, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, compared to this one. I feel like that gives you a little bit more of an actual Leslie effect. Like the sound that I'm hearing in my head is an organ. Like again, watching Bukovac, he's been inspiring me to try to look into like different organ type of chords. See, I feel like having that little bit of vibe in there makes it a little bit more organ sounding compared to let's hit it with dirt then. Let's see what we got. Let's go with what you're saying, Nikki. I'm going to add some dirt. Did we lose YouTube comments? Possibly. The last thing I saw was from Wolverine. Is it there? I don't know. I'm getting used to the all restream thing. Richie's been trying to get me to use this for months, and now I finally listened to him, so he can stop. I could stop annoying him. See, this one with dirt is horrible. Yep, I see you, Wolverine. I see you there. Yeah, that's not good with overdrive, but this one actually is nice. That's kind of cool with a little bit of crunch on it. But if you go for a totally clean, I think the Vibe Rotary is a better move there. What else can we mess with? I haven't even added reverb. Am I sinning for not having put reverb in this yet? So you can hear how horrible every mistake sounds. The old Voxes didn't come with reverb, did they? So we can, I suppose, do whatever we want. Van Halen with a Vox and a Telly. Why not? I've been liking the room delay a lot. Have I been overdoing the parallel effect thing lately? Should I not do that this time? You guys reverb before the cab, before the amp, or after it? I've tried it in all spots. I don't know if I exactly have a preference. My ultimate preference is to do the parallel thing, which I'll probably wind up doing again, but... All right, I'll definitely put it in the parallel thing. I saw a couple people talk about putting reverb in front of the amp too. So now when it's in front of the amp, I want to get rid of that pre-delay because that doesn't need it. That's kind of got a cool sound being in front of the amp with that little crunch to it. Sound a little bright. What if I bring that down? I mean, it's kind of cool there. I don't mind that, but I'm going to go do my parallel thing. So yeah, Nikki, I'm keeping this. I'm going to keep your rotary horn on with this crunchy sound. Okay. Parallel effect time. Yeah, you put the parallel before the amp. Interesting. So I keep my parallel effect simple. Follow along if you guys have your Helix with you, because this is... Yeah, I could see that. I could see the Jesse's Girl sound happening here. I don't know how to play it, but... Something like that. I've never played it, so it's a great song though. Again, Tim Pierce was Rick Springfield's guitar player. I don't think he played on that record though. So, reverb, pulling it down into my parallel path. I'm going to bring up the decay and I'm going to bring up the mix. If you haven't seen me do this yet, no, I'm not crazy. Just give it a second. Okay, so parallel effect. Right now, they're going to be split perfectly even. Can make this into an A-B path. So half my path is going here. Half of my path is going here. Split down the middle right now. Output is here. So this is your mixer. This is where you can control which level is louder, which level is softer. And that's where you make the magic happen. So right now with everything even... And that's just way too much. So since the reverb is on path B, I'm going to take this and I'm going to drop it down a little bit. So now what this is doing, by bringing down this B level, it's allowing the initial transient note. This is... Parallel effects are really popular with like vocals. If you ever heard like parallel compression or any of those terms around, that's pretty much what it is. You have one really affected channel and one super dry channel and you just blend them together. So this is without that path B. And then I'm going to bring in the affected wet signal. Kind of cool. What else do you want to throw in this? What other suggestions we have for this Vox preset? Let's leave some DSP. I'm gonna drop this guy down here. Yeah, having that little rotary horn there with the crunch is a nice touch, Nikki. Good call. Guess power chords do make it nice. The theme from an imaginary Western vibe. If I played that, I didn't mean to do it. Yeah, slapback. So a slapback, interestingly enough, is one of the few delays that I'll put in front of the amp. So a lot of times, if the delay is supporting notes, like kind of being like a soaring type of sound, I'll put it after the amp. But if I'm looking for just like a nice slapback, I will put it in front. Which one do we want to do? Okay, I'm gonna drop that. Feedback to 0. Okay, so with my delays I like to go to the legacy section so I could have a treble. I guess you could do the same with the high cut, but I like the treble better. Bring that down a little bit more. Yeah, I think that's a cool one. I'm kind of getting used to this rotary horn in here. I would have never put that in myself in that spot. Cool. All right, what other fun stuff could we do with this before we wrap it up? Yeah, definitely has got a P90 vibe to it. What's up, Chad? Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate that. I can thank you now that you're here to see it. Yeah, it really turns really fattens up the telly bridge. But I could still do like the regular country thing. Not just messing with the tone control there, bringing it back down a little bit. So, Nikki, you always use it after. I mean, I guess that would make sense. I'm curious to try something. I'm going to bypass this cabinet. I'm going to bypass that. Is this going to be the worst sounding thing that I've ever done in my life? Putting the vibe rotary as my speaker cabinet? Okay, maybe. Maybe it is the worst thing that I've ever done. Okay, maybe not. I tried it. Moving on from that idea. Not my proudest moment, guys. Okay, look, I'm trying to do stuff on the fly here. So that answers the question. No, they're not meant to replace the speaker cabinets. I kind of like that. I like ringing out big chords with that sound. I mean, that's definitely got that Vox vibe. So usually with Vox amps, it's kind of a simple thing usually. I haven't done this in a while, so hopefully this isn't so terrible. What if I do a dotted eighth thing? I haven't done that in a while. Drop my Elephant Man. Also, guys, if you didn't know that this little clock here in HX Edit, this will change you from tap tempo to assigned tempo. Dotted eighth note, get some good feedback. Have it set to chorus. Yeah, let's give it some depth. A little less on there. So this depth, let's pedal edit this depth because I am curious myself. Okay, so depth. I assume that's going to be how much the chorus affects it. So that's with 0 modulation on it. So that gives it a nice little bend. It's kind of creepy if you're going for some like creepy Beatles stuff. Not gonna work. Let's make it to a normal depth there. I would say that's an acceptable amount of modulation there. Noise, what do we got here? Cool, let's exit pedal mode. Yeah, and it like kind of gives a little interesting thing. What is that? Too much happening. Definitely too much happening. Maybe I'll lose the slapback so it's not bouncing on itself. I don't know. I'm just messing around with stuff here. Yeah, dotted eighths, it's awesome when you can figure out where you want to use it and what you want to use it for. Kind of doing it like this, I'm just like, what the hell am I doing with myself here? But yeah, it could definitely be a lot of fun to play with. And it really helps to have like a click going with the tempo so you don't forget where you're at. Yeah, I usually like to do that with a track instead of by myself. I feel like it sounds totally awful by itself. Oh, works with the slapback? Cool. Hey, yeah, you guys give me the feedback. What do you think? Another thing, I like to really keep it palm muted and plucky when I'm doing dotted eighth stuff like that. So you kind of like, even if you're just playing a regular like scale up, you kind of like wind up harmonizing to yourself. Kind of the lower you go, it sounds interesting. Yeah, mess around with stuff like that. Just kind of pluck around with it. It sounds weird when you let notes ring out. Like, this is probably going to sound awful. Gets a little sloppy when you play the notes totally open like that instead of... I don't know, just fun stuff to play around with. All right, let's do one more thing to this, and then getting close to an hour, so I'm sure you guys are bored enough of hearing me ramble on about this stuff. Trying to think, is there anything big that I'm missing that I would normally do? Oh yeah, how about I actually set this to go to where the reverb is, because I didn't do that. Let's go atmospheric. Speaking of atmospheric, let's go with the Ganny, and let's kick this back on. So now this is gonna look weird. I'm gonna put a volume pedal after those. Okay, so. Actually, I'm going to not use that Elephant Man. I might put a separate one in. I'm going to put this before the parallel path so that it doesn't get... Let's try it. Change this to a quarter. Let's give this a lot of feedback. Mellow it out. Speed is how fast we want it to modulate. So for what I'm going to do, let's give it some modulation. Hopefully this sounds good. This is kind of what I do when I'm making presets by myself anyway, so this is fun to have you guys here. So I threw the mod chorus echo before the split path. Let's hear what it's like in the split path. If it has the same, it'll give me that same thing. Kind of dig it. Let's bring the Ganny up. Let's get wild with this. Yeah, the whale tone. I don't know if I'm getting the sustain I want out of it up here. Mod Chorus Echo, still my favorite. I've always loved that pedal. I have a real Echo Park, Line 6 Echo Park, that's my favorite delay pedal. I wish that this was as easy to use as that one is, though. I get confused with some of this stuff sometimes. All right, I'll mess around with this a little bit more, and thank you guys for checking this out and watching. What is it? Yeah, it's 5/2. So I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you guys for tuning in again. I really appreciate you guys hanging out and watching this, just messing around with this stuff. Any questions last minute, drop them in there. I'm just going to play for another couple of seconds or so, and I'll be signing off. So thank you guys. I appreciate you watching. What am I? That's how I'm going to end on you guys. I'm going to play some total stupid nonsense. All right. Thank you guys again. Appreciate you watching. And yeah, leave me questions and stuff, and hopefully I do another one of these again soon. Be well, everybody.